were discussing about the exact solutions of the Navier-Stokes equation, and we will consider now a second example which is known as a Couette flow. So, what is the difference between this and the plain Poiseuille flow that we looked into in the yesterday's class? If you have say two plates which are parallel to each other, and if you have a pressure gradient which is acting on the fluid, then the flow which is being created, the fully developed part of that we call as plain Poiseuille flow. Now, in the Couette flow there is a modification to that. What is the modification? Now, the plates are not stationary, but one plate is moving relative to the other. That means you now have, say as an example, the top plate is moving with a velocity ut relative to the bottom plate. So, it is not always necessary that the top plate will move with a velocity or bottom plate will move with a velocity. Important thing is there should be a relative velocity between the two plates in whatever sense. So, that relative velocity is being created by creating, say, a designed motion of the top plate. There are cases when this designed motion may be oscillatory or time dependent in nature, and that type of problem is not within the scope of this particular course, but in an advanced fluid mechanics course which is there in the subsequent years that is discussed. So, here we are talking about that there is a uniform time independent velocity with which the plate is being moved. So, with that understanding, we have to see that what extra effect does it create beyond the plain Poiseuille flow that we have discussed. See, if you forget about the effect of the plain Poiseuille flow, just think that this is there, this relative velocity is there. What it creates in a fluid is a velocity gradient. So, it is an automatic inducer of velocity gradient, because the bottom plate has 0 velocity, top plate has velocity ut, and let us say that the gap between the two plates is h. Then roughly of the order of ut by h is the rate of change of velocity or the velocity gradient. So, it creates a rate of deformation by itself, by the boundary condition. So, this is a way in which you create a shear by the boundary condition itself. So, this is sometimes known as a shear driven flow. So, this is a mechanism of inducing shear, or in other ways, if there is a shear in the fluid, it is a one way by which you may simulate it artificially by having a velocity gradient which is roughly like ut by h. So, if you want to simulate a rate of deformation, this is by giving a velocity to the plate and keeping a gap, it is possible to impart the order of magnitude of the rate of deformation that you want. On the top of that, you might be having a pressure driven flow because of, by virtue of a pressure gradient, some dpdx is there, some negative dpdx is there. We have seen that that is what that can drive the flow through pressure gradient. So, you have a pressure gradient driven flow, you have a shear driven flow, and the resultant is a combination. What kind of combination? That we will like to see here. So, let us set up a coordinate system, say this is y axis and this is x axis, and let us write the equations of motion here. So, we will keep all the assumptions which were there in the plain Poiseuille flow valid for this problem also. So, steady flow, constant properties, and fully developed flow, incompressible, of course all these things. So, all when you say constant property, by default it is incompressible, that means density is constant. So, with all these considerations into account, we have seen that you can write the equation of motion as mu d2u dy2 is equal to dp star dx, right. See, that was there for the Poiseuille flow problem, plain Poiseuille flow problem. For this problem it does not change, because what has changed is the boundary condition, but in terms of like whatever is there within the domain of the problem, there is no special effect that has come into the picture or that has gone away. So, the governing equation remains the same. Now, of course, it is very easy and trivial to integrate it twice to get the velocity by using these boundary conditions, but what we will do is we will just do it in a different way. Why the different way? We want to isolate the effect of this additional thing which has come into the picture. So, we will consider that say u1 be the velocity field due to the pressure gradient, and let us say u2 is the velocity field due to this plate motion, that is induced shear. So, let us write a governing equation and boundary condition for u1 and u2. On u, if you want to write the boundary condition, original boundary conditions at y equal to 0, u equal to 0 by no slip, at y equal to h, u equal to ut, right, that is also by no slip boundary condition. Now, let us say that we are writing this problem in this way, mu d2 u1 dy2 is equal to dp star dx with the boundary condition at y equal to 0, u1 equal to 0, and at y equal to h, u1 equal to 0, and mu d2 u2 dy2 is equal to 0, boundary condition at y equal to 0, u2 equal to 0, and at y equal to h, u2 equal to ut. If you just add these two equations, you will get mu d2 dy2 u1 plus u2 is equal to dp star dx, and if you add these two effects, it makes u equal to 0. If you add these two effects, it makes u equal to ut. So, what u is nothing but u1 plus u2. Why we are able to do it so easily? Because of the linearity of the governing differential equation. Since this is a linear differential equation, that is the governing equation, if u equal to u1 is a solution and u equal to u2 is a solution, then u1 plus u2 is also a solution. So, that is why you may use this linearity or exploit this linearity to decouple it into two different problems. See, the first problem with u1 is what we actually solved yesterday, that is the Poiseuille flow problem. Only the coordinate axis we have shifted from the center line, we have taken the y equal to 0 as the bottom plate. So, that is just a cosmetic change, in principle it changes nothing. So, that problem is there as one part, and the second part with u2, it totally isolates the effect of the motion of the plate. So, you are now in a position to adjudge or pinpoint the effect of the plate from the solution of the u2 problem. So, let us quickly solve the u1 and u2 problems. So, the u1 problem if you want to solve, so basically you have to integrate it once. So, mu, or let us write du1 dy is 1 by mu dp star dx into y plus c1, and u1 is equal to okay. So, use the boundary conditions for u1. So, at y equal to 0, u1 equal to 0, that means c2 equal to 0. So, the boundary conditions are c2 equal to 0, and at y equal to h, u1 equal to 0. So, c1 is minus h square by 2 mu dp star dx. So, the u1 profile is 1 by 2 mu dp star dx, maybe we put a minus sign outside, into h square minus y square. Okay, sorry, h square minus yh. Right. Now, so this is for u1, for u2, it is even simpler. So, d2 u2 dy2 equal to 0, which means du2 dy is C1 and u2 is C1y plus C2, maybe another C1, say C1 prime plus C2 prime. So, use the boundary conditions at y equal to 0, u2 equal to 0, that means C2 prime equal to 0, and at y equal to h, u2 is equal to ut, that means C1 prime is ut by h. So, u2 becomes ut into y by h. It is possible to write the expressions, the velocity profiles for u1 and u2 in a non-dimensional form. For example, you can write u2 by ut is equal to y by h. This is a non-dimensional way of writing it, and let us give a new variable name y bar equal to y by h, just for writing convenience. Which one? Last line, yes. Yes, y square minus, sorry sir, y square minus or yh minus y square, yh minus y square, because minus sign is absorbed already outside, right. Okay. Now, if you non-dimensionalize u1, let us also non-dimensionalize this with respect to ut. So, we may write this minus 1 by 2 mu ut dp star dx, maybe multiply both numerator and denominator by h square. So, it will become y bar minus y bar square. Okay. And see, if you have a careful look into these terms, this term in the bracket is non-dimensional, the left hand side is non-dimensional. So, whatever is here is also non-dimensional. Okay. So, let us just give a name to this. Let us say that this is alpha, which is a non-dimensional parameter. It depends on, see, this alpha is physically a measure of what? Physically a measure of the relative strength of the pressure gradient in driving the flow with respect to the plate velocity in driving the flow, right. So, although it is a mathematically non-dimensional parameter, but physically it represents the relative driving effects of the pressure gradient and the shear imposed. Now, with this understanding, let us try to write the resultant velocity, which is just simply u1 plus u2. So, you have u equal to u1 plus u2, which is equal to or maybe u by ut as u1 by ut plus u2 by ut, that is equal to alpha into y bar minus y bar square and plus y bar. Okay. So, one important thing is that this alpha may be positive or negative. See, think of a case when ut is equal to 0. If ut is equal to 0 and if you want to drive a flow along the x direction, only way, positive x direction, only way is you must have dp dx as negative, that we have seen, or dp star dx as negative if you consider the piezometric head as the total driving head. Now, if you come to a situation when ut is positive, then there might be a case when dp dx is positive, but still the flow is maintained along the positive direction, because positive dp dx will try to have a sort of resistive effect on the flow along x, but ut is trying to drive the flow along the x direction. The resultant may be such that ut is successful and then the flow may be along the positive direction. So let us try to see that what are the typical velocity gradients. So for different values of alpha, let us first find out what is du dy, and we will get a important picture. So du dy is ut, or du dy bar say is equal to ut into alpha into 1 minus 2 y bar plus 1. So let us try to find out what is du dy bar at y bar equal to 0. So that is equal to ut into 1 plus alpha. So if you want to draw the velocity profile, so this is the sketch where we want to draw the velocity profile. So along the x axis we will plot velocity, along the y axis we will plot the y coordinate. So if you see, let us consider a value of alpha which is negative. So value of alpha negative means what? Value of alpha negative means what happens to this? So alpha is negative means dp dx is positive. So dp dx positive is adverse pressure gradient. So we have discussed it earlier. So always remember that positive dp dx or dp star dx implies adverse, because we have seen that a negative dp star dx is something which helps in maintaining the flow along the positive x direction. So this is called as favorable pressure gradient. So adverse means it tries to have an opposition to the flow. So when you have positive dp dx, that is if you have say if you have a positive dp dx, that means you have a negative alpha. Now the situation is the du dy at y equal to 0 depends on the extent of negativity of alpha. So there may be one range of alpha where alpha is less than minus 1 and another range is alpha is greater than minus 1. If alpha is greater than minus 1, although it is negative, but some of these will be positive. So you will have a positive slope of the velocity profile, but if you have alpha less than minus 1, let us take an example, say alpha equal to minus 2. So if you take an example of alpha equal to minus 2, this is minus ut in a non-dimensional form, of course. So what it means is that if you have a negative slope of the velocity profile, that means the velocity, see at the wall it is 0 because of no slip, then the velocity actually becomes negative because the slope is negative. And if you want to consider the upper plate, see let us say here is the upper plate, here you have to have the velocity as ut, which is like this, that is by the boundary condition. So let us say that is equal to ut. So somehow this started with a negativity, but it has to match with here, so it must somehow cross this axis. So in the process it will have a sort of minima at a point, which you can easily find out by differentiating u with respect to y and setting it to 0. So you are having a case where you may have a sort of backflow. Say this is an example with alpha equal to minus 2 as an example. So the important understanding is that you may get different sorts of velocity profiles depending on the value of alpha. Say you have alpha equal to 1 as an example. So if you have alpha equal to 1, you see that the situation is different. For alpha equal to 1, you have du dy as something which is positive at y equal to 0. And so when you want to sketch the velocity profile, what are the things you should look for? And this you should practice at home. I am not going to do it for all possible ranges of values of alpha, but that you should do yourself. But important characteristics of the plot you should look for: what is du dy at y equal to 0, that is how it starts off, and where is the location of du dy equal to 0, that is a sort of location of maxima or minima in the velocity profile. if it starts off with a negative slope then it will be a minima, if it starts off with a positive slope it will be a maxima somewhere. So that you have to find out whether it is a maxima or a minima. Where is it located? Is it because it has to be eventually located between 0 to h. And why we have chosen this example for demonstration, say alpha as a negative number which is in magnitude greater than 1, because it gives a sort of interesting competition between the pressure gradient and the driving shear. If you take alpha as something positive, then this dp star dx negative is a trivial case. Then what happens? The pressure gradient also drives the flow in the positive direction and the motion of the top plate also drives the flow along the positive direction. So that is like they just aid each other, but here is a case where the pressure gradient is adverse, it tries to oppose the flow, whereas the motion of the top plate tries to aid the flow. Where the opposition effect is strong close to the bottom plate, which is the farthest away from the location where the external induction of the motion along positive x is there. So here you see the locally back flow, and as you go further and further away towards the top, the effect of the top plate will dominate. Now there may be a situation when let us say that whatever is the effect of the integrated effect of this velocity is same as the integrated effect of this negative velocity, then no matter whether you have some velocity distribution, the flow rate over each section may be 0. So that means you may come up with a situation where integral of u dy from y equal to 0 to y equal to h, that is equal to 0, that is q. So you find out what is that condition, what should be the value of alpha for that you may easily do by integrating this and finding the value of alpha. You will see that it will come for a value of alpha corresponding to dp dx positive, because if dp dx is negative that will never occur, it will, both effects will help each other. This is the case when it will occur when both effects will oppose each other, so that the resultant flow rate is 0. So although you have velocities locally, but the integrated effect of the velocities is 0. So the combination of different pressure gradient and shear that you should try to look into by trying for different values of alpha. What values typically you should try? Say alpha between -1 to 1 and alpha greater than 1, example say alpha equal to 2 like that, and alpha less than -1, that example that we have taken as 1 alpha equal to -2. So for these ranges you try to assess the nature of the characteristics and try to make a sketch of the velocity profile. This type of thing is very important. So you make a sketch of the velocity profile does not mean that you actually plot it, you assess the nature of the variation by the slope and so on, and try to make an assessment of qualitatively how the velocity will vary from bottom plate to the top plate. Now a very simple situation corresponding to a special case of this is alpha equal to 0. So when you have alpha equal to 0, that means there is no pressure gradient, it is neither favorable nor adverse, and then just the solution is very simple, u equal to ut into y by h. This is known as a simple Couette flow, that is a Couette flow without any pressure gradient. So this is a case where only the shear is driving the flow, and the velocity profile for this is linear. So you can see that if you want to superimpose two velocity profiles to get the resultant velocity profile, so you have the velocity profile as the sum of the velocity profile due to Poiseuille flow, which is like this, for a dp dx which is negative, this is for negative dp dx, plus a linear velocity profile because of the motion of the plate. So this is u1, this is u2. So if negative dp dx, the resultant is the algebraic sum of these two, just that is what we got from the differential equation u1 plus u2. But if the dp dx is in the other way, you might have the, this is say positive dp dx, you might have the pressure driven velocity profile directed in the opposite sense, and then the resultant of these two may be either positive or negative. That is very obvious, but that is one of the important observations from the individual velocity profiles. So, alpha equal to 0 is a special case of the just a simple Couette flow.